As to the motives of the Tsarnaev brothers, there are no final answers, but there is informed analysis. And that's where my guest comes in. Criminologist James Allen Fox is a professor at Northeastern University. He's the author of The Will to Kill, Making Sense of Senseless Murder. James, it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
In your blog on Boston.com, Crime and Punishment, let me read you a line from your own piece. Arguably those crimes, the bombing and the killing at MIT, would not have taken place were it not for the close brotherly connection. What makes you say that?
Well, first of all, we can certainly say for the younger brother that he was brought along by his eldest sibling, someone he looked up to, someone he admired, someone whose praise he wanted to obtain. And we can see it now that his brother's dead. He's not the same formidable threat to us. He's telling us everything. And he apparently wasn't even armed when he was arrested.
Well, we don't know if that was voluntary or not, but I hear where you're going. Okay.
As far as the older brother, what we often find in these cases is someone who may have the idea, the ideology, which he did have, but not necessarily was about to do it. But having his brother with him, supporting him.
Even embolden him, you're saying?
Exactly. That we find it's easier to do despicable acts when you have someone else joining in, supporting you, telling you it's okay, it's the right thing to do.
But you know, I understand based upon what we know of Jahar, and I'm sure we'll learn much more in the days ahead. But in terms of the older brother, you said he had neither the potential or desire to commit extreme acts of mass violence. We know he's had extreme anger, serious anger problems, as evidenced by the testimony from people who are at the mosque. He abused his girlfriend.
Right.
I mean, how much more do we ever see in mass murderers before they become mass murderers?
Well, apparently lots of people around him did not see this coming. The FBI in their investigation didn't see this coming. Clearly he didn't have the kind of positive background that his younger brother had. There are a lot of negatives there, but that's a far cry from the decision to take and set bombs at the marathon. What I'm saying is that
they feed off each other.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We see time and time again situations when brothers, cousins.
Give me a couple
spouses,
examples. That's in your piece.
Well, even the DC snipers. It may not be blood relationship, but Mohammed and Malvo acted like father and son. For Mohammed, he enjoyed the fact that somebody saw the greatness in him, and for Malvo's sake, finally someone was praising him. So in this case too, in the bombing case too, it's likely that the older brother enjoyed the role of being the leader, and someone was following his lead. And the younger brother wanted praise. Remember, they lived together for a long period of time. Parents weren't there, and he looked up to his older brother, wanted to please him.
Okay, so let's assume you're right. I read the thing not once but twice today, and I said to myself, okay, even if James Allen Fox is right, what's the moral of the story? What do you do with it? I mean, okay, fine. We're convinced that they fed off each other and it became this relationship that caused them both to do something they might not have done otherwise by themselves. So what? I mean, I don't mean so what that it's not interesting. What do you do with it?
Well, it's just part of an explanation. You know, we want to know why this happened. And keep in mind, it's an explanation, not an excuse. Many people are saying, well, that's, you're just excusing their behavior. No, I'm not. It's obviously despicable what they did, but to understand why it happened, you have to look not just at the motivation, not just at their anti-American ideology and sentiment, but also the relationship between the two. Had they not been together, I don't think this thing would have happened.
Even if the older brother had another accomplice, if he didn't have a relationship as close as he had to the younger brother, you're saying it might not have happened.
Well, with another accomplice, perhaps it would, but it had to be a tight relationship, which he had with his brother.
You also, in a piece, I think a couple days ago, or actually it was right the day after the marathon bombing, criticized the media for repeatedly showing the bomb blast, hearkening back to the post-9/11 days.
Still showing it.
Still showing, but not to... And why? And I think your concern was, which I shared, not enough about recovery and the victims getting better in the response. Well, as you saw here, we're getting an endless stream, and I think it's a wonderful thing, of unbelievable stories of strength and hope, both rescuers and survivors themselves. So doesn't that, I mean, that is what happened. Shouldn't we be reminded this horror show happened at 2:50 and right in our own backyard?
I don't think we had to be reminded by seeing the same 10-second video clip repeated over and over and over again. And one station, I don't know what kind of decision this was, but one of our local stations, when Obama came on to speak to the nation, split the screen. Obama on one side, video of bombings and explosions on the other side, and it even turned down the volume of the explosion, so every time you heard it, it was drowning out the words of the president.
Horrible.
We're not don't deny it happened, but we shouldn't be focusing just on that. Plus, who knows whether the perpetrators at that point in time were watching and enjoying
and maybe getting ginned up to do in New York City or something.
And we play right into that image, the idea that we are suffering. We should play up the idea of resilience, not the notion of suffering.
On that, we agree. James Allen Fox, great to see you. Thanks so much. Great blog on Boston.com. Crime and Punishment, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Exactly.